City of Perry Council meeting this evening. We will start with our invocation. Nate Kingsley is here to do that for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. Just like to pray for you. Father, thank you so much for this land we get to live in. I'm thankful for this state and for this city we've come to love. Thank you for those who take up the mantle of governing. Give them grace and wisdom to do their job tonight and every time that they meet. So it may be good for the people who live here. We ask in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Nate. I would ask you now all to join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shirley, would you take roll call, please?
Mayor Hannon.
Here.
Larry Lambert. Mike Connell. Bob Porter.
Here.
Ruth Galvey. Here. Kamal Ghazi.
Here.
Kristen Abel.
Here.
Mike and Mary are absent. Shirley. Oh, Mike's here. Okay.
Mike is here? Okay. Very good. Looking for approval of our agenda for this evening.
I move that the agenda be adopted as printed. Second.
We have a motion from Kamal, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay. Good to see you. Now looking for council meeting minutes approval from December 5th.
I move that we suspend the rules, waive the reading, and approve the minutes from the December 5th, 2024 regular meeting.
I second.
We have a motion from Mindy, seconded by Kamal. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Tonight, we're going to hear from Mindy, who was in charge of our lighting contest, our Christmas lighting contest this year. And she will announce our winners. Mindy?
Okay. It was really hard. We spent a long time on it, didn't we? Okay, so our first place winner is Charles Patterson.
Come right up, Charles.
You have a $100 gift card.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. And our second place is Josh and Lindsay. Ellen?
Bonar.
Bonar.
There we go.
Congratulations, you get a $50 certificate. Yeah, you are ready, aren't you? And our
Run for the
third,
door while you can.
our third place winner is Fred and Ratty Mauer. I messed that up. Oh, I messed it up. My fault. Yours is bigger. Brian Yarball. Our third place winner. Not here. So our fourth place winner is Ashley
Lambro.
Lambro.
It's a funny last
Yeah, good job. And the fifth
decorated.
place is now, you guys can come up, Fred and Ratty Mauer.
Thank you.
There you go.
Good morning.
Thank you. And we have some honorable mentions. One is at 620 North Watkins. Another is at 225 Lamb Street, 322 Lamb Street, and 520 Second Street. They're all beautiful, and it was very hard. You guys did a great job this year.
Mindy, who were the judges this year? I know.
It was Kamal and his family, Larry and Linda Lambert, Scott Johnson and family, he's a previous winner, Lavinia Drakey, just another resident, Charlene Bragg, another resident, and then myself, Mindy Galbovy.
Well, thank you for doing that, all the judges, and it's a fun thing, but it's also a busy time of year to do an extra thing. So thank you for doing that. It was very nice. We'll move now into our public comment. Is anyone here for public comment tonight?
Yeah.
Come right up.
Make sure I'm on recovery. Good evening. My name is Joel Crane. I live over on First Street behind the Pharmacy PFCU Credit Union. I'd like to take a moment and address the outdoor lighting display contest. In my display, I like to use themes. In my front yard, my theme was love. I have a Mr. and Mrs. Claus kissing, 2 penguins hugging each other, a dog holding up a mistletoe trying to kiss a cat, 4 dogs, which is basically man's best friend, an 8-foot joy sign going across the front of my yard, and obviously the best one of all is Mary and Joseph are kneeling over the baby Jesus with angels on each side of them. I also have arches over the sidewalk and driveway with lights and a music box that beat to that. In other words, there's a music box there, there's lights going over the driveway, and then there's lights going over the sidewalk with different beats of the music and so on. My side yard consists of a memorial to my wife, which passed away in February 2023. This area is all lit up with white lights because she really loved white lights, and the beats of the music box also tie into the white lights over on the side. It also has hoops with inflatables inside the hoops, which she really loved and so on. She actually was in a wheelchair the last 2.5 years of her life, and even though she wasn't out there to be able to help, she was out there in spirit and that sort of stuff. So I always dedicated a side of the yard for her simply because she was always a part of it and so on. The backyard theme was the North Pole. There's a sign by the alley and a path that goes back to Santa's workshop. There are 2 towers of lights over the passageway to replicate the Mackinac Bridge, the 2 towers there. There's also a 14-foot Santa mounted to the deck, a 9-foot Santa and Mrs. Claus side by side, a floodlight with Santa and the reindeer that shoot up on the side of the house. There's also a grilling Santa, a welcome Santa with gifts, a Santa with a Christmas gift list, a Santa and a reindeer next to the fence, the display of Rudolph characters right behind it, with misfit toys going the thing with Santa. So all that Rudolph display is right behind that sleigh. So obviously Santa, before he takes off, if you've seen Rudolph, he gets the misfit toys and then he goes and delivers the toys to the kids. There's also a Santa riding a sleigh, a Santa driving a pickup truck, a Santa with a canoe, and underneath the canoe there's a blue tarp that was my mom's. I sort of do that in memory of her. It's a blue tarp to signify the water underneath the canoe and so on. Santa's oriented canoe. And a Santa, my favorite, the Santa in the outhouse, the door opening every 30 seconds. In other words, Santa sits on the house, the door opens, Santa pops out, pops back in. It does it every 30 seconds. Like I said, personal favorite of mine. And I have a North Pole with a reindeer's tongue stuck to the pole. If anybody's ever seen The Christmas Story, where the kid gets triple, double dog dinner and so on, that's what simulates that also. And I got a Santa with a campfire dog roasting marshmallow on his tongue. Few other concerns I have. Number one, I went to the other 5 houses that deserve the following. First of all, I want to say they did have a tough decision, hands down. I mean, I went by the other houses, very well decorated, and I'll be honest with you, I've been doing the lighting contest thing here for 5 to 10 years, and I was one of the judges last year because I won in 2022, and I can tell you right now, it is a tough job, hands down. Okay? And those 2 yards I counted, or in the 5 yards, I counted 17 working inflatables. Okay, and the 5 yards I placed. I have 63 inflatables and 23 out of 80 of them in my backyard. That doesn't include floodlights, pathway lights, tower lights with music, trans lights, attached to the fence, etc., etc. This is where it gets tough for me. The sad part of this, I feel, is politically motivated. I put a Trump flag in my yard and put a political sign opposing the mayor for the 2024 election. Also in 2023, when I was one of the judges, the committee agreed that the announcement of the winners would take place at the tree lighting ceremony, which we did. And I feel that that did not happen this year. I feel that the reason for not making the announcement was in the view of the lighting ceremony was in direct view of my house. If you see where the tree lighting ceremony is, if you look directly to the west, you can't miss my house, bottom line. That means that was at least, that was indirect. I feel it was more intentional than it was incidental. And, which I also feel you had 5 place finishes, you had 4 honorable mentions. That means my house was literally at the best 10th place. And we all know if anybody comes by my house and so on, you know that's not a 10th place house. Well, when I posted the congratulations to the group of the Facebook and so on, my phone instantly started lighting up. Why didn't you win? Why didn't you place so? I said, I don't know the criteria. I'm also a sports official. I went into Durand to referee some middle school volleyball. I came out of there, I had 22 Facebook messages, and I had 17 texts, which I can show you on my phone. Why? What happened? I really didn't have it. I then called the City Hall on Monday afternoon because the announcement wasn't made at the lighting ceremony we did the previous year.
Can I interrupt you for just one
Sure.
moment? It was announced.
I did not see it and I was there.
I was there and I announced it.
Okay,
Okay,
that was an oversight on my part then.
go ahead.
Okay? I want to make sure I get my time because I just lost my time answering your
No, you
question.
go right ahead.
Okay? I then called City Hall on Monday, and like I said, I didn't know it was announced, so if I miss it, I'll take responsibility for that. After I did it, I posted the winners on the Facebook page, and then an hour and a half later, the city went and did the formal announcement and so on. I realize now by speaking up about this and so on, I'm going to become a bullseye and targeted by the city and Perry and all its departments. Because I'm going to stand up for what I feel is right. I'm not only standing up for me, I'm standing up for my wife. If my wife would have been alive today and she would have saw what happened today, I'd hate to have been at City Hall. She's a very vocal person, very outgoing, has a lot of spunk. Okay? With every problem, there's a solution. I recommend that the people decide the winner and not the judges. What they do over in Lynxburg is they have a list of names or a list of places to go, and the people make the decisions, not the judges. Whoever gets the most vote, you're first place. That takes it out of your hands, it takes out the bias of the judges, and the people are making the decisions. Just like everybody that's sitting here today, that got voted in these positions, the people made the decisions. Not judges, not appointed, the people had their say, and the people put you in the chairs that you're in right now. Okay? I understand, like I said, I'm going to repeat myself, that the houses that I looked at, very, very nice. I mean, I'm going to agree with Mindy, she has some tough decisions to make, and so does the panel. I understand that. Okay? I did it last year, and I really got my eyes opened as far as, what they, and so on and so forth, and I feel the city is want to step above that and so on. But I don't feel I'm 10th place. I'm sorry, maybe it's me, maybe it's my thing, but when everybody's calling me, everybody's asking me, before the announcement was even made on Saturday, hey Joel, did you win? Did you play it? I said, I don't know, they usually announce it. Again, my mistake, I didn't hear the announcement and so on. But then afterwards, people are hounding me up, why didn't you? How can you not get a place? How can you not even be an honorable mention with everything you got out there? So,
So, can we respond?
sure, absolutely. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
I want to tell you something. Your house might not be a 10th place, just so you know. We didn't rank it in that fashion. All of the houses were really beautifully decorated. If I would say every single house we saw was a first place, just so you know. So don't take it like I am the 10th place, I am this, I am that. And it's all perspective, right? It's the perspective of the person that's seeing something. Do you like Alfredo pasta? Do you like
No, I do
Alfredo
not.
pasta? I love Alfredo pasta. We might be presented with a dish. I might think it's great. A person might not think it's the best. I do think you bring in valid points. That's worth discussion. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Maybe having people to vote later. But please don't take it offensively. It's meant for, it's a good thing, meant to build upon it good things. We didn't know who the names of the people were. We were given simply a map, and we literally toured that map. That's literally all we did.
Okay?
That's truly all it is. So don't be offended. I hope you're not offended by it.
Well, I guess I gotta understand perspective. Being a judge in the past and seeing the houses and so on. And like I said, I will say it again. There's a lot of tough houses out there. You guys had to make some tough decisions. I understand that. And I would even go with an explanation of, hey, we want new people up there at the top, people that are not up there all the time and so on. I take pride and joy in decorating my house. I do it for fall. And I put flags all on my fence for the 4th of July. I do a nice fall display. I'm not a Halloween person, but I do a nice fall display. I do all my lights around the house and so on, because I like my house presentable. My house is in an ideal location, and if you guys have been by my house, obviously if you judge, you work. You drove by my house, I'm in a location where you come to the drive to the PFCU Bank, right on the corner on One Raw Main Street. And, you know, I'm not just taking what people are saying. These are people that are coming to me. These are one person in particular used to live over here in the Oak subdivision, moved to Bancroft, but still brings her kids out here every year to look at my house. Again, I'm a humble person. I feel I do a good job. And I'm not here to brag up my house and say, oh, I'm the greatest or anything like that. I'm not here to do it all. But I don't think if I'm not in the first 5 and I'm not in the next 4, that's basically 9 places. That means I'm 10th or beyond. No matter what your perspective is, unless you can explain to me your place is indifferent, I'm at least 10th place.
You should come and judge next year.
I'm more than happy to do that. But again, I want to get away from, and my point here is, okay, I can't change the past, I can only go forward. Okay? My thing is here is take it out of judge's hands. Let the people decide.
You know, I think you bring in a
You know?
really good balance.
That way, I'm not here to pick on you, Mindy, by all means. Oh, Mindy was one of the judges. Oh, it takes it all out of the picture. If the people voted and put you in those seats, that means you got the most votes to sit in those chairs you're in right now. This process is not doing that. That's what they do over in Langsbury. They have a list of addresses, and they go through, everybody votes on, whoever votes, hey. All Mindy has to say, all you have to say is, well, hey, the people voted, this is what it is. Whether you like it or not, that's what the people did. And this process, you are not doing that. It's up to what you like and what's on. And I explained to Larry Lambert and his wife last year how I decorate my house. Some people, and you had a very good point. I'm going to super on your Alfredo pasta thing. Okay? Some people like inflatables.
Absolutely.
Some people like lights.
Absolutely.
Some people like towers. Some people like music. You know, this comment Sue made here. Don't mind me if I'm singing, I'm humming Christmas songs. Go by my house, you'll hear there's actually 2 music boxes and I got a little stand up by my house that play Christmas. Everybody does things differently. That's why I have the variety of everything coming by my house. You drive by my house 5 times, and I guarantee you will find something different that you didn't see before. Guarantee it.
I
Joel, we appreciate all of your comments. I'm sorry to say your time's up, but.
I know, I understand, I was just answering questions that they had.
We'll certainly take this all into consideration and appreciate you coming tonight. And your house is beautiful, and I like the music too, I've been by, so.
The music only comes up so loud, and then I hit the volume and I crank it up a little louder. I go over my neighbors, I say it's okay. My music you can actually hear over on Orchard Street, so.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your
I would
time.
like to say.
Go ahead, Mindy, go ahead. I mean, I'm sorry, it's your meeting, I can.
Your house is beautiful. I am seriously offended that I'm being accused of turning it into something political.
Well, Mindy, I can understand, I apologize if it comes across that way, but I really don't have any other explanation with the many inflatables I have in my yard, with all the music that I have playing in my yard, with all the towers I have playing in my yard, and the themes that I have in my yard, and so on, how it could not get an honorable mention or a place. I mean, there's people that come from miles around that come just to look at my house.
Joel, again, we appreciate your comments and we'll take them under
I
consideration.
understand, I was just answering her question.
Your time has
I think
ended.
Kamal answered it perfectly with his Alfredo comparison.
And
That's all it was.
And I responded back with mine also.
That's all it was.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, I appreciate it, I apologize for going over our minutes, but I feel something that's strong in my
Is
heart
there
that I
anyone
had to
else
wait for.
here for public comment tonight? Chris, come right up.
Yeah, I do believe with Joel that his thing is politically done too, because he had my sign in his yard. Same with my neighbor, who stole the signs, and said, tells everybody still today, Sue told him to take the signs out of the yards. I've complained to Mrs. Smith about to fill paperwork out for violations from Ron look at, nothing's done. Third time, neighbor comes over, asks me and my wife, we call the police down. Officer Royal comes over there, advises him to go to Ron about my trailer. My trailer is perfect where it's at. He come in there. Within 5 days after Royal came over, did my complaint, Ron was over. We have on First and Lincoln, can't walk down the sidewalk. Vehicles, no plates on them, along the driveway. Right next to them, there's two vehicles, a mud truck, four trailers, a camper parked right on the corner of the property. Nothing done. Another place, kitty corner from the Orchard Street, Orchard and Madison. Camper right tight to the fence. Nothing done. Nothing. And I've put complaints in. But yet, Officer Royal can come down to the guy that's stealing my signs, and within 5 days, I'm getting a thing from the zoning administrator about my camper. Then he turns around and says, well, I'm not gonna go to you no more, because I've been instructed by City Hall that you don't buy your house, that you will be getting evicted out of your house. And we asked him, who's in charge? All you are his bosses, he said. Why is it when people complain about stuff, nothing is done? Nothing. But yet, guys steal my signs, and I make a complaint, and he has a Sue Hammond sign in his yard, automatically within 5 days, I'm getting something in the mail for my trailer that's legal. Explain that one. And two, why do we have elections? There was at one time when the marijuana shop was put on the election. Over 60% of the citizens wanted that. 40% didn't less. Very next day, none of you guys, but the mayor and the city attorney had it down where we never had a dispensary in the city of Perry. Why did the city waste that money to have it on the ballot?
I didn't
Two.
understand what you just said.
You had it on the ballot for a dispensary
Right.
before any of you guys were here. Over 60% wanted the marijuana shop.
Right.
The very next day, the mayor at the time and the city attorney had it all down where we could never have it. After the city voted, why did we have it on the ballot? Two, another question people have been
I'm
wanting to.
sorry, that information
Yeah,
is not
it's,
correct.
go ahead, Chris, finish up.
Anyway, the
You've
people
got
wanted
another
it.
one.
The people wanted it. Didn't matter if it was 51 to 49, majority won, period.
It was not on the ballot.
It was 2 on the ballot.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was 2. It was on there for medicinal marijuana shop in the city of Perry, was on the ballot.
Yes, it was, and it passed.
Thank you, Sue.
And now we do have an ordinance that allows that to happen, so I don't
Okay,
understand
but
your
the-
point. But
okay.
go ahead.
Anyway, why do we have it, think of all this long to do it?
It takes a long time.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, when they went through their mayor and the city attorney, had it down there to overturn it. Yes, it was. Anyway, you lost my train. But I just wanna know why these ordinances, they turn in, she tells, go up there to Ron, fill the paperwork out, nothing is done. Then I was told, Tim DeLue, place there on 3rd Street, he can have his vehicles there because that used to be a car dealership. 5 times removed. And where he's got his car parked used to be a hardware, lumber yard. He can have legally in the city of Perry, on the side of the road, vehicles with no motors, transmissions, trailers, tires off them on the side of the street. Explain that one. And why can Charlie's use our sidewalk as his business? So can I go out in the summer, have a front TDS, put a dog cart and rope off an area and leave my stuff there? Because he can? And why does the hardware, until recently, gotta bring all their stuff in every night? And Charlie don't have to? Don't make no sense.
You got another minute and 10
But
seconds.
I asked Ron, he says, oh, that's not the ordinance department anymore, that's the building inspector, anything on the sidewalk. Okay, pass on the buck. Pass on the buck. And I wanna know why, when I had some logs in my yard, I had to get rid of it, but our zoning administrator's got a tree sitting in his yard, nothing done. I had a vehicle with a tarp on it. Before you guys came, the city of Record was hooked to my truck because you can't have tarps in the city of Perry, but our zoning administrator can? Don't make no sense. This is what people are coming to me when I was running for elections, asking me, so I told them, I'll ask you guys. Thank you.
Chris, thank you. I do want to just address one thing that you said. I had nothing to do with the signs being taken from your yard. I have told you this twice. I'll tell you this again. I had nothing to do with the signs being taken from your yard.
I hope you didn't.
I did not have
I'm just
anything to
saying,
do
he's-
with the
he's
signs
telling
being
people that.
taken from your yard, and he is not. You are.
He is
So
telling
you
people
need
that,
to
Sue.
stop.
He is telling people that,
You
Sue.
need to stop.
Well, you need to tell him to stop that. I'm not lying. You're accusing me of lying on that, Sue.
Well, you've got a few things that you said up here mixed up. If anybody has questions about that, I'd be happy to talk to them. Please give me a call at City Hall. I'd be happy to talk with you about it. Anyone else here for public comment tonight? I think, Mindy, we have, are you folks here for the awards? I think we have
Oh,
people who came in after the awards were done. Let's see if it's the
Yeah, I
ones.
feel a little shamed now, but.
No, no, don't be.
No, we went to the other
No.
side, we're like, where did
Oh,
No, I'm talking about how
Okay.
our house isn't good enough.
Yeah,
maybe the Bonards?
No,
Is-
Brian.
We're
Oh,
205.
yeah, 205.
yeah.
205, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian Yarbrough,
Yeah.
205 Middledale.
Okay.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank
That was
you.
our first year here, so.
Oh, great, good. Well,
It's very
That's
striking.
great.
Thank you.
Simplicity,
Yeah,
but so sparkly.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
that was his little boy's favorite.
Oh, nice.
We
And all our
loved it.
neighbors loved it too.
They were all great,
Yeah.
but we
Yes,
loved
they
it.
were.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad we were able to do that. And we'll move now to communications. Shirley, do you have some?
Can I just say one thing? When you, before, if you leave early, would you give Megan, raise your hand, if they're, your phone number?
Yes.
So we have that, okay, thank you. So I handed out, an updated calendar of the, council meetings. The letter, oh, and just the letter that was drafted to Mr. Bradley last week. And Sue might talk about that, so. And that's it.
And since Shirley did mention the letter drafted to Mr. Bradley, I'm explaining why we couldn't accept his donation for the mailing. He did respond to our letter. We got this response on the 17th, asking for the money to be returned to him rather than designated for something else. So that has been done. And as far as mayor reports, that was the only thing I had. Any committee reports tonight? Looking then for presentation and approval of the bills.
I move that we approve the bills as presented and that payment be authorized.
I second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Kamal. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. We don't have any old business on the agenda for tonight, but we do have our auditor's report. Megan and our representative from the auditor's office.
Danielle. I gave everybody a copy of the audit as I had it yesterday. I was off today. I did ask Luke to make a couple just little typo changes that aren't in your packet, so I'm just going to point them out to you real quick because Danielle has the updated version. On page 19 is just a summary of significant accounting policies. It references that the city offers fire protection. Obviously, that is a separate entity, so we're striking that from the text. On page 28, where it talks about the land contract payable, it says due quarterly installments. The copy you have says $12,903. It's actually $2,903.
What page was that?
28.
28?
Then I'll get you a clean copy after. And then, Shirley, did you already pass around the additional audit page that I gave you?
Yeah.
So I gave you an updated page 34. There's text in there about the tornado damage that's not in your original packet. And again, that was emailed to me today, so I was not able to update Luke with the dollar amounts from the tornado damage and what we've received and what we expect to receive. But other than that, I'm going to let Danielle take it away.
Okay, thank you for having me. So I'm just going to kind of talk about the most important things in here. There's a whole lot of pages, so don't want to take up too much time. But I'm just going to start with the first page. It doesn't even have a page number, but if you find page 2, it's right before that one. It's the independent auditor's report. So the most important thing is the opinion at the beginning, which is an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion that we can give. It means that, in our opinion, everything in the financial statements and everything that follows is materially correct. And then there's a lot of basic, standard language after that. But that's kind of the most important point, is that everything, is the best opinion we can give, that everything was materially correct. After that is the management's discussion and analysis, and this is, I would probably say, the most important part of the of what you'll see in the audit. There's a whole lot of other information that follows, but this is a nice summary of the most important things. It's also comparative. In the statements that follow, it's just one year of statements, so it's hard to see where you were last year versus this year. But in the management's discussion and analysis, it does talk about those things. So I'm going to talk first about page 5. So this is the changes in net position, and this just shows the total revenues and expenses during the entire fiscal year for both 2024 and 2023. And it's kind of talking about some of the little bit of differences between the two. The biggest thing is the miscellaneous has increased substantially in the governmental activities side, and that's from that tornado damage. That's like the insurance money coming in on that. So that's most of the reason for this large swing upwards in revenue. The expenses increased quite a bit as well, mostly in the public works and public safety, but those were a result of the public works, I guess the garbage fee per unit increase, so the expenses were going up just as a result of that. And then public safety is the special assessment for the ambulance increasing. So just kind of things, out of control, not really out of control, but like out of the city's hands, just things that, costs increase over time. Sometimes those get updated. So that is the kind of the revenues and expenses there. And then the difference is this change in that position. That's the amount that the revenues exceeded the expenses by. It's a larger number this year, primarily because of those insurance proceeds on that tornado damage. And then the end of the year is just the amount. So there's the net position at the beginning of the year, which is the amount that assets exceed liabilities. And then that just shows that that's gone up. And I'll get more into that in the next statement I'll talk about. But first, I'm just going to talk really briefly about the business type activities. This is much less to talk about on this one. There's not that many line items. Pretty consistent revenue, pretty consistent expenses in both years, and pretty consistent change in net position. So not too much to talk about that one. It's pretty consistent with the previous year. But then kind of going back to this previous statement on page 4, this kind of will show how this is connected because at the bottom it's talking about the end of year net position, which you can see is also the number that shows up at the very bottom of each of these columns. So what the net position is, it's the difference between the assets and the liabilities and the deferred inflows. So it's the amount that the assets exceed those kind of liabilities by. And since there is a positive net position, that means like that the assets are higher than the liabilities. So that, that's definitely the position that the city wants to be in. So that's good. The assets, for the most part, on the governmental activity side, increased as a result of what I mentioned previously about the revenues exceeding the expenses. So that's kind of the main reason for that increase. The liabilities did go down some, mostly due to payments on the, I guess kind of the timing of payments for like payables. Sometimes there's more work that's done at the end of the year, so liabilities will kind of fluctuate. On the business type activity side of things, things are pretty consistent. Again, you can see assets are pretty consistent. Liabilities did go down, and that's kind of as a result of, like in the business type activities, we have a lot of, you have loans on the equipment. So that's kind of the payments on those is the big thing driving that decrease in the liabilities. And then you can see like the net position at the bottom there, and then some of that is it's called the net investment in capital assets. That just means you can't really spend it because it's in your fixed assets. You can't go ahead and trade someone a piece of equipment. I mean, I guess you could, but So that's kind of the. Let me just double check here. Yeah. So I don't want to go into too much detail, especially since most of the stuff is at the beginning there with the management discussion analysis. The other things that just kind of talks about the key differences, or like things that are new to that year, and what has increased and that kind of thing. I won't go into, much detail beyond that. And then after that, it just has some other statements which just show a little bit more detail on the statements that I talked about previously. So, for instance, on page 8 has the statement of net position. You can see there's a lot more rows here. It's not just lumped into a couple of different categories of assets. It's got a whole bunch of them in there, same with the liabilities. So this shows like a more detailed look for each thing. But again, I think it's, you can look here for that detail, but that management's discussion analysis at the beginning is kind of a nice thing to look at, just kind of in general. So I didn't want to kind of read you the whole report, so that's kind of what I have. I don't know if anyone has any questions, anything they want me to go into more detail on.
Besides the tornado, was there any significant difference between last year and this year in the amount of expenses and the amount of revenue the city is generating?
So the biggest things were what I had mentioned about the, if we go back to page 5, the public safety and the public works amount, they had increased substantially. And then what we had in our notes for why those increased is for public works, the garbage fee per unit increased from 8.85 to 12.45. And for public safety, the special assessment for the ambulance increased from 75 to 110. So, and then also so there was some expenses in there to fix the pavilion that was damaged in the tornado. So those were kind of the big things. For the revenue side of things.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
When you say substantially, what does that mean? Substantially, is it compared to other cities, that significant increase?
No.
Or is it like, what does substantially mean?
So,
exactly?
I guess I'm talking about if we look at the 2024 column and the 2023
Versus the
column.
2023. Okay, so
Exactly.
you're comparing just both.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, because in one of them, so for instance, Public Works in 23 was $530,000. In 2024, it's $818,000. So about a $300,000 increase, a little less than that. But yeah, so I'm not trying to benchmark it against other cities or anything.
So good.
Yep.
Thank you.
The revenue, though, is pretty consistent, besides that insurance that I had mentioned. So.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. All right, well, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Megan, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
I do not.
Thank you for that. Thank you for all that work. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And your name is Evan, is that what it was?
Daniel.
I'm sorry, what?
Daniel.
Oh, Daniel, I'm sorry, I didn't even hear, I guess. I wrote the motion saying that Luke was here, just so
Yeah.
you guys know.
Daniel, what is your last name? We just have who presented it in our motion, if that.
Yes, Morris, M-O-R-R-I-S.
M-O-R-R-I-S.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Council, is there any discussion on this audit or anything that any of you want to ask Megan since she's here?
I move that we accept and approve the 2023-2024 audit presented by Daniel Morris, CPA from Clark Schaefer Hackett.
I second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Kamal. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda are some appointments and reappointments based on expiration of terms. I would like to, based on conversation with Mike Reeder, reappoint him to the Planning Commission for a term to expire 2028. After conversation with Bob Otke, and both of these people are now on the Planning Commission, Bob has agreed also to another term on the Planning Commission, his term to expire in 2028. I'm looking for council approval for those appointments.
If you read.
Or you want me to do all of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just wrote one motion.
All right, I also will appoint James Shaw, or reappoint James Shaw, who now serves on the Shiawassee Council on Aging. He has served there for some time, but he agrees to another term, and that's a one-year term. Chris McDivitt has agreed to serve another term on the Board of Review, so that we'd like to reappoint Chris McDivitt to the Board of Review. So now I'm looking for approval of those reappointments.
I move that we approve the mayor's reappointment as read.
Second.
We have a motion from Kamal, seconded by Mindy. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. And then I do have an appointment for Mindy Galvey, who is willing to serve on the Planning Commission. She used to serve on the Planning Commission and was there for quite a long time, so has a lot of knowledge about how that all works. And she had to step away for a little while, but now that she's back and serving on council again, she is now willing again to serve on the Planning Commission. So I appoint Mindy Galvey to the position on the Planning Commission, looking now for council's approval.
I move that we approve mayor's appointment of Minty Galavi with a term expiring on January 2026.
Second.
We have a motion from Kamal, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Let's move into our next agenda item, which is the amendment to the investment policy. Megan?
I believe Shirley gave you a copy that has highlights for what is new and what has changed. I didn't think to print that copy myself. So, for the most part, it's pretty straightforward what we're changing. This policy, we've had it since 1998. It was a template policy that was provided, I believe, by the state of Michigan is where I found that it hadn't really changed much since it was enacted by the city back in 1998. Basically, we're just adding the general fund as funds that can be invested. We're calling the water and sewer funds enterprise funds because that's what they are. They make their own money. If we were to ever open a toll booth, toll roads, those would also be enterprise funds, just as an example. So then when you get to page 2 at the bottom, section 5, authorized instruments. The reason we're updating this is that so hopefully we can potentially participate in Michigan class that I talked about last meeting. So section F is the verbiage that's required in an investment policy to be able to participate in the Michigan class programs. The other minor change is on section C. Our policy said that matures not more than 365 days. The current policy for Public Act 20 is 270 days after the date of purchase. The other text that changes the most is that institutions that we participate with do have to sign an acknowledgement and receipt an agreement to comply with the city's investment policy. And the old policy did have they sign off on it, and this just beefs up the language as to why we're asking them to sign this, references the Public Act.
Does anyone have discussion or questions for Megan regarding this?
I did run this by Luke, our auditor, also said, do you need to look at this before we, and he said, no, we just need a copy of it once you, as long as we're following Public Act 20, he just wants a copy of it. if we enact it.
I'm sure I'm just curious, it's just the change, it'll still say the city of Perry at the top and the first, but then the rest is just.
Right,
just
yes,
make it-
everywhere else it just
make
refers
it
to it as the
easier
city.
to read.
Yes, so if we ever have to edit it again, we're not changing lots of stuff.
Figured that's what it was, but
Thank you, Megan. Council, if we are approving this, there is a resolution that we'll need to pass.
All right, whole thing?
Do they need to read the whole thing?
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Huh?
I can't imagine.
Could we just say as presented?
Whatever you want to say, it's fine.
I think we can do that to that sentence of the resolution, just add as presented.
Okay.
I move that we approve the following amendments to the investment policy as presented.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Megan.
That's Justin, because next time we're gonna have to read the whole thing.
Sometimes that happens, doesn't it? We can't go
Well, if we
back.
have to read the whole thing, it will come back in January. How's that?
Yeah, that's right. And Megan's going to talk to us about the Michigan class investment options.
So we started a discussion about this last week. I did email the contact with a couple of the questions that were presented to me. About one of the questions was rates. I apologize, I do have an email. I can send you a link that will tell you the rates daily. They do change daily. We earn interest daily. So I can give you a link that you can put in any date and you can see what rates these investments were earning in the last couple of years, in the last couple of months, and you can see it for yourself. And then it'll also tell you how they've done it, I think, since 2014 and 2021 were the numbers I saw there. One of the biggest benefits to the city is that you get the benefit of the money that everyone is collectively pooling together. So let's say this city can put in $3 million, but we're only putting in $250,000. We have the benefit of being able to invest the $10 million, and we still earn the same as the big guys, right? So we're not earning less just because we're putting in less. Like a lower percentage, I should mean. Obviously, we're earning less, we have less money to earn on, but we have the benefit of the same percentage of earnings as, regardless of how much money we invest.
Can you send us that email? No?
Absolutely. If you want to table this till January, that is 100% okay with me too. Being off on the day of a council meeting, you kind of forget I was not here today. So then I came in and I was like, I'm going to print this, this, and this, and then I didn't, so.
I forgot to look into it, so
Okay.
I didn't do my homework on my side either, so.
Would you prefer I invite the representative from Michigan class to come and talk to us at a
Most
January meeting?
likely, yes, but I'd like to see an email so I can look at it and delve into it.
No problem.
So am I hearing no action taken regarding this resolution?
Good with that.
And we will look for more information and a
Do you want me to just
speaker
plan on
to
inviting
attend.
him to the next meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
And then email the
Yes,
information.
absolutely.
Okay, so moving to number 5 under new business. Last meeting, I did bring up the possibility of a discussion to be held tonight to increase the pay per meeting for the people who serve on the Planning Commission and for the people who serve on the ZBA. The council, their pay is voted on by the local
Compensation.
Local Officers Compensation Commission.
Yes.
They meet every other year in odd numbered years to determine what the pay will be for council members. At their last meeting, so in 2023, they did increase council members from a $15 per meeting pay to a $30 per meeting pay. My thought is, absolutely up to you, of course, but my thought is that if council is paid $30 per meeting, that the planning commission and the ZBA, which are the only other two commissions that we have that are paid, should be the same. So, open for discussion, thoughts?
I said it last meeting, I don't think anybody goes for the $15 or $30 meeting. And I just got my Cessa check and it was $180, I don't think I could go, I joke with Shirley, I can pay my bills this month. I don't think anybody does it, I have no problem raising it, I just don't think anybody does it for the pay.
And I agree, Bob, there's no argument about that. I just think it should be the same. That's my only thought. I don't think we're gonna convince someone to serve on the planning commission just because they're paid $15
Well, they can go buy some bubble
more.
gum.
Yeah. That's not the point at all, not at all.
It's just showing respect for their time.
I agree.
It's, yeah, I think
Yes.
it's fair.
I
think
agree.
it's more
Well
than
said,
fair.
Kristen, thank you for that.
If I may, I just have a question. I'm not opposed to it myself, I mean, you put in the work, get the pay. I guess my other question is where the funds come from, I don't know. Like, if you're increasing the funds, the money gotta come from somewhere, and I realize you're not talking massive amounts of money, but I'm just curious.
Comes out of the general fund. The same place that the city employees are paid out of.
Right.
Although their pay comes from different, like some of it comes out of DPW money, some comes from, you know, but general fund is where the planning commission and ZBA would be paid from.
And they only meet a couple times a year, right?
The
So-
planning commission
Once a
meets
month.
once a
Oh,
month,
once a month.
the ZBA meets twice a year.
Gotcha.
ZBA was met once
I think it's.
in the 4 years I've been on it, or
Yeah.
3 years I've been on it, so.
So they don't even meet twice a year.
No, it's only if something, there was an issue in Perry Lakes about sidewalks, and they went through all the process and then took it to the ZBA.
ZBA is Zoning Board of Appeals, for people who might not know. So if the zoning board has denied something that someone's applied for, and they want to appeal that, it goes to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Gotcha.
So it only meets when there's something that's appealed.
Move that we approve the increase in pay per meeting to $30 per meeting effective January 1st, 2025 for the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Kristen.
I think I need to,
Abstain?
abstain,
Okay.
because I just got.
Because you're on the planning commission?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm on the zoning board of appeals, but if I abstain, then you don't have a, oh no, we have 3.
I second.
No, to pass it.
Um,
But like I said, it's met once in the whole time I've been on there, so. I'll donate my feedback.
I'm just
We can
making
do a
a
roll
note.
call.
Yeah.
then? Or,
I mean, you may, if she abstains, then I think you do have to. It's kind of like voting no.
okay, all right, so,
Or she could just vote present.
April,
I did
you
that.
say
Yes.
yes. Yep, Gazi,
I have no objections to
Okay.
it.
Cano,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and then Minty.
Is abstaining.
Okay, abstained, yep, okay,
And Larry's absent.
right.
Jacob's present.
So we do have a majority, so motion passes.
Yes.
I roll call vote. That is everything that's on our agenda. Is there any other business to come before council tonight? Does anyone wish to come forward for further public comment? Council, do we have any agenda items for our next meeting, which is in January? Do remember that we are not having a meeting on January 2nd.
Yes.
We will meet on the third Thursday in January because of the holidays.
It's
The
like 16.
16th.
Yep,
16th, I think it is.
16.
If you do have something come up that you'd like to have on the agenda, as always, get hold of Shirley or myself. As for tonight, it's 8 o'clock and this meeting's adjourned.